what's his name like that. Your host like that, because it sounds so like fucking formal. Okay, wait, hello? Be like, welcome to the What We Don't Know podcast with your hosts, Ollie, Eveleigh, and Lisa Sabah.
I am. That way, I won't expel much of my effort and much of my energy just for you to delete the whole recording.
It'll be
again
an hour and a half podcast in 10 minutes. 10-minute podcast in an hour and a half, I mean.
What does that mean?
Speaking way, way slower. You'll get 10 minutes done in an hour and a half.
See, you know...
All right, let's introduce Tom.
Oh, hi.
Welcome
Hello.
to the show, Thomas.
True, we would have been like 80 minutes and he's like, hi.
Listening.
Okay.
Thomas is my brother.
Younger, older.
Older. Fire off quick fire questions.
I can't.
I would hate to know your quick fire questions without thinking about it.
Exactly. If you think about it, you can already imagine how bad they are.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you can see up my shorts.
No comment.
I
can neither. Was that confirm?
Good job we're not videoing this episode.
Neither confirm nor deny.
So you've been the most critical of the show so far.
Oh,
Really?
really?
So
I didn't know this.
I apologize.
So you run the fucking show from now on.
Yeah.
Ready? Go. See if you can do a better job. Basically, I've called him on here to dog on him for an hour and a half.
You know,
just put him in the hot seat.
I have to say, I've been excited to actually talk with you on the show, at the very least. You know what? I think the reality is I've just been excited to talk to you. It's been a long time.
That's very sweet.
Yeah. It was, I mean, like the one time we hung out. Well, it's been 3 times, I think, or 2. Every time has been fun. Like, legit fun. I was like,
When have
cool.
you guys met? At his 30th birthday?
That's one. And then there was,
I think
he
we
was
originally met
visiting.
probably about 5 years ago.
That was 5 years ago?
Wow.
Wait, not your 30th birthday.
You know what? Literally, like, the first time was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where was it? Do you remember?
I think it was. We got pretty smashed.
And then
Really?
we went to Ramez's, right?
What?
No.
Or it was the brothers. You got these 2 friends who are brothers.
Oh, Matt and Tom.
Yes.
This is another complaint we've had, that we talk about people
That no one
that
knows.
no one would know about.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So there's no
do you
reference.
want to circle back to what my kind of... I think it's constructive criticism.
Okay, go on.
That's what I
Yes,
put it.
I'm more than willing to hear.
So my thinking was, on most of the great podcasts you listen to, they have every guest that comes on, they don't necessarily have it's not like they're running off a cue sheet, but they've got some kind of topic that they revolve around, right?
Yeah, there's something to their existence that makes them a worthwhile guest.
Exactly. So they have an interesting starting point, and then it sort of just evolves from there
Okay.
naturally. So my only thing was, who did you have on the one I listened to, Ollie? It was just you guys talking about art or something.
Basically, he's saying we don't have anyone interesting or anything to contribute.
That's
anyway.
not true. I've listened to the one with Aaron. Aaron's probably got a pretty dope story.
You haven't listened to it, you said?
No, I need to. As soon as you guys get on Pocket Cast.
Nah, Aaron's not.
We
very
are
interesting.
on Pocket Casts.
Okay.
Yeah, we are. We're on
That's a
Pocket.
good-
We're on Stitcher. We're on Pocket Cast. We're on iTunes. We're in Google.
Okay, I've got 2
Podcasts.
points.
We're on everything.
My first point is that's actually a good. Yeah, that was a good segue into a self-promotion. Remember to like and subscribe.
Yeah, seriously. Like and subscribe. Favorites and Anchor.
5-star rate us.
5-star rate us.
Have a
Leave
podcast.
your feedback. Good, bad. We want that all. Any feedback's better than no feedback.
And okay,
stick a
my
poster
second
up in
point.
whatever high school you go to.
Whoa.
My second point. What would you say?
I said stick a poster up in whatever high school you
Oh
go
my
to.
God.
Oh yeah, definitely do that. That's definitely a good idea.
Literally.
Just promote us as much.
Tell your wife. Tell your
Okay.
kids.
Tell your dad.
My second point was
Please tell your dad.
Carry on, Oliver.
that's the point of the show, that we don't know what we're talking about.
Right,
It's called What We.
Hence the name.
Yeah.
No, but
Okay.
he's saying more. Well, what? Okay, but that was my point of contention with Ollie. Is like I couldn't understand. Besides the actual observation of like having a guest and then talking or starting exploring a topic with them that's related to them, what else is there to the how can we apply that criticism to the show?
The way that Issa thought about it, I think, is even if you get somebody on who's like
obviously
a
we'll talk
motocross
about
rider
them
or whatever,
for the most
he
part.
wants to talk to them about stuff that's not motocross related.
Yeah, so I guess you do have to have people that are genuinely interesting. They don't just have a niche or whatever. But
No, but I mean, it would be so interesting to find someone who's so uninteresting.
But I'll tell you something else, and that's what's like the go-to, what the kind of the premier podcast for kind of general entertainment that people listen to is probably the Joe Rogan Experience, right?
I think I would argue, yeah, because I would argue that definitely that's a fact.
I think he created the long.
You're not
form
arguing
podcast.
that.
It's not an argument.
He's created the long form podcast.
Whoa, I would like to dispute that he hasn't created it. He's popularized it.
Yeah, okay. Apart from like This American Life and the NPR podcast, he's made it kind of freeform podcasting.
No, but see, that's the thing. Before Joe Rogan, what we had was...
I'm going to finish my point.
Go on.
So...
Yes.
So in the early days of that show, they didn't necessarily have a specific guest on every episode. That's just because the show's
evolved,
professionalized over time. Yeah. In the early days, it was just him and Brian Redban. Brian Redban would produce and kind of co-host the show with Joe Rogan on the seat in his spare room in his house.
Yeah.
On the couch in his spare room in his house. And those conversations would just naturally evolve because basically they got high and found a bunch of YouTube videos and would just comment on them, and it just happened to be funny. So it ended up taking off to the point where now Joe Rogan's got this like podcast empire, and Brian Redban's a comedian in his own right, etc., etc. So what I'm trying to say is, I guess this speaks to the difficulty of just putting together organically of like really high quality radio or podcast shows.
But that's the thing. So for example, I didn't know that was the lineage of their podcast. In my head, their podcast gained traction and popularity because they were already kind of, I would say they're the manly kinds of socialites. Some people are celebrities or become popular in their community due to their contributions. Like he was like a fighter or something, and he's done like hosting events. Like he was like doing stuff already, and then he put this stuff online, which I'm assuming this is my imagination of what was going on.
Now, if you consider they get 100 million listeners a month, he wasn't that popular in 2010 or whenever the podcast started. So I think it's...
Oh, no, for sure. But what I'm saying is to get that traction, that's not like an easy feat. Like, you know, he was there.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. No, so like, I didn't know that was history. For me, like, or at least with Ollie and I don't even remember what started. We were talking and we said, you know what? I feel like I don't have this kind of conversation with people enough.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, it's like... It's a pretty rare thing where you get just people just naturally having these deep and meaningfuls and going on these crazy tangents.
And like doing it constantly. I feel people get tired of doing them.
That's been the big thing. That's been the big thing. It's almost like forcing ourselves to do it a couple of times a week that we're like... Yeah.
We were worried. You
stretch your brain a little bit.
Yeah. Like even do it a lot. You know, you don't have to take...
It's like a mind workout.
Yeah. It's good because and the best thing is for me, and I think this is something you almost every episode say, is you think conversation is good for being a progressive person or like for like growing. Like if you can't talk about something, then you're not really exploring it with your mind.
Not even individuals. I think like everybody.
Collectively,
across the board.
Yeah. Like if you can't tolerate hearing someone talk about something, then that literally is the definition of being closed-minded. You're like closing your mind off to the knowledge or like whether you agree or disagree with it, you know.
Yeah, we're also a bit careful though.
Oh no, there's things you have to be careful about, understandably, almost everywhere. But
what do you mean? I'm not on the same page.
Censorship.
Oh, I see.
Like self-censorship, like being and for a reason to protect moral values and regional interests and just respect. Right. Makes sense. I can get behind it. But
when in Rome, shut the fuck up, like the Romans do.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna rack up at least a couple more. He's got a couple more up his sleeve.
Oh, yeah.
What was that one?
When in Rome, shut the fuck up and do like the Romans do. Ollie's like, wait, is that the thing?
Is that the actual one?
Wait, I haven't
even got a notepad. This is all off the
came in nothing.
Do you guys have favorite sayings or favorite quotes? Like top one? Like if you had to choose one?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah?
I got a mic dropper for you.
If
I could drop this mic.
Yeah, but no, this is before he says it.
Yeah.
He doesn't have one favorite croak.
Croak.
He doesn't have a nice
Freudian
quote.
slip.
He has a new favorite quotes constantly, like every week.
Oh, it shifts. So this is
I'm the annoying screensaver guy.
so this is the annoying screensaver of the week. What is it?
This is the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation and go to the grave with the song still in them.
The mass of men.
Hold on, slow down. Say it again.
Wait.
Yes.
That's the sound of the mic dropping.
Well, it didn't register at all for me, so I can't wait
It's-
to understand it.
The mass of men
Yes.
lead lives of quiet desperation
Yeah.
and go to the grave with the song still in them. That's not even the full quote.
Yes.
Where's
So,
it from?
Let me
Where's
let
it
me
from?
let me try to interpret it, and you tell me if I missed the mark or not. Everyone else is dreaming other people's dreams or looking out onto other people's stuff. That by the time they're dead, they're still like humming along to the tunes of others and haven't lived their own lives, basically.
Basically, yeah.
That's
It's the
nice.
keeping up with the Joneses thing, but it comes from a long way before that. Henry David Thoreau was
Walden.
exactly. It's from Walden.
I didn't know that.
What's Walden?
Some book about the woods.
Yeah,
Cabin in the Woods.
He was writing at the end of the Industrial Revolution. Well, I guess the middle of the Industrial Revolution, like the late 1800s. And he was like, all these people are basically moving into the cities, working in these factories. It's like they're working all day, just trying to make more money and trying to get, buy a house and a car and blah, 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 blah. And all they're doing is accumulating stuff and trying to chase each other without paying attention to what's actually, makes them fulfilled and content and stuff. So he built a cabin out in the woods for $27, which I guess at the time was probably a bit more money, but still not very much.
Adjusted for inflation.
Yeah. So he basically built a one-room shack in the woods and then lived there for 2 years while he was writing this book, Walden, or Life in the Woods. That's the full title of it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Life
Yeah.
in the Woods. But
Interesting dude.
everyone I know who's read it
Do you,
has been like they don't go super hyper. No one has gone like, oh my god, you need to read. They always go like, yeah, Thoreau's like, I read Walden.
He's
super
basically
into Thoreau.
he's basically a Buddhist. There's not much to get excited about with Buddhists.
Yeah.
It's just sort of-
do you think that he racked his brain? Because it's the same thing with song lyrics. We look at song lyrics sometimes and we're like, oh, that's genius. Like, it sounds good. Everything meshes together and you hear a song lyric hit at a certain time and you're like, that's like the
I've
perfect
never
use
felt that way.
in the perfect time.
Never felt that way.
But they must, like, I've thought about it the other day, and you look at the lyrics, and it's weirder to read them than hear them. And then you're like, they must have been thinking about this and, like, trying things and scribbling it out. It's weird to think about the process of it. Like, to come up with that quote, he must have been like, the mass. Okay, the mass.
Well,
of
that was
men,
just-
you know?
You know what's funny? I think I'm reading about this at the moment. I'm trying to read Deep Work, this book by Cal Newport, who's a MIT professor who studies the habits of really, productive and creative people. And his whole premise is like, people think that artists and writers and whatever are just inspired and they sit down and they write a bit out and brilliant. They've got a number one hit single or whatever.
No.
But in reality, what it is most great writers do take the kind of Jerry Seinfeld approach, which is they got to write every single
Bash it
day
out.
for 3 hours at the same time. They get up, like Stephen King apparently used to get up about 4:30 in the morning
their
because his
pages.
kids would be up. Yeah, he just basically
Really?
sits there. He used to sit there and smoke like 5 cigarettes until he could come up with something, and then
This is
Crazy.
and I think that stuff only gets developed after you've already got the habit into place. So basically, you have to do something so much, then you've entered an existential crisis about the thing you're doing. This is any practice, I would assume. So let's take an artist who's starting off learning about how to paint. They paint. They do it so much, and then they reach this point of like, why the fuck am I even doing this? I don't even enjoy it anymore. But a part of them is like, this is what I want. This is truly and deeply what I want to do or be or whatever. And you can go 6 years of like, fuck, why am I still doing this? And then eventually, there's some things that people latch on to and they're like, oh, that's nice. And then they explore it.
yeah.
But like, to even get to the point where you're doing something daily, that's like a lot. I think people underestimate what work means. They think work is like, yeah, I'm just putting in the hours, just showing up 8 to 9 to 5. But like the true meaning of work is, are you showing up to work?
Well, it's like he has a great concept in this book, which is pseudo work. Like most people think because they drive to an office and they sit there from
Yeah, this is a
9
point that
o'clock
I
and-
say a lot.
yeah,
Like,
because they sit there
it's
from
working
9 o'clock to
yourself.
6 o'clock. They're working hard, but it's like working hard towards what? What are you going to get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
If you're working, okay, if you were the CEO, if you're Bill Gates, or you're the CEO of an investment bank or something, you better be fucking showing up to work. But if you're just trying to carve out a life where you have the freedom to do the things you want, you have a bit of cash in the bank, but most people don't want to be billionaires. They want to have the time that billionaires could buy.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. I agree with that.
All right, shiny things are nice, but only for a minute, So if you want that, then, what you really want to do is create extreme amounts of value in a short space of time. So sitting down and actually getting something done from 8 till, and this is again the point that Cal Newport comes back to in this book, which I'm basically blowing the guy at the moment, but it's a very good book. Is like most really great people, if their occupation requires it, or their artistic passion or whatever it is requires it, sit down and concentrate extremely hard on something. And because they're concentrating extremely hard, they can't do it for 9 hours a day. So people will turn up to work, and most of the time they spend drinking coffee and playing Candy Crush on the toilet.
I'm sure it's like 20% of an actual work day is actual work.
Water cooler talk. You just hang out at the water cooler and just chit chat.
I have nothing against it personally, but I
would
not
if you like
hire.
your job, fine.
No, I wouldn't hire people like that. And I feel there's a way of screening it.
How?
I honestly
it's
feel.
hard.
No, I feel like
because I think you're a lot of it. Like
charisma.
Maybe,
there's charisma.
No, I think 60-70% is behaving to the environment. Like if there's already culture,
there's a culture of that
to sit around the water cooler or talk around the water cooler. That's what you'll get into. Like so many people are like sheep with mass.
Yes, everyone
habits.
Technically, or like for the most part, everyone, right?
I started smoking cigarettes occasionally when I was at work.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because everyone in the office smoked.
But you hate cigarettes.
Yeah. Well, I don't do it anymore because I realize it's stupid. Like,
the taste it makes no sense.
Yeah.
It's just a hat. Yeah. Anyways.
But yeah, exactly. But when people, take a smoke break,
we are social animals. It's easy to forget that.
Exactly. So people sort of huddle around, and not only that, sometimes, occasionally, people share good ideas. So it's interesting. You get out the office, you're away from.
No, I can definitely see the value behind it. That was the one thing I kind of missed when I moved back here from the States was so-called cigarette breaks. If like you're in a club or if you're in a public place or a restaurant, you can't smoke indoors, blah, blah, blah. But so even if I didn't smoke, which I didn't, it would be good to go out for some fresh air a bit with the smokers, ironically. And there are nice snippets of conversation outside the club. But
it's worse at work as well, because at work it's like an escape from like going and staring at a computer all day. But then everyone's going for a smoke break.
And then you bitch together.
Oh, give me some freedom from this.
Yeah.
There's a joke in the office actually when they hire the guy that's been in jail, and the whole thing of the episode is like they're comparing the work to jail. All of them in the end are like, jail sounds awesome.
Yeah.
But you have to, jail's like
the subtle genius of The Office can't be underappreciated.
These are The Office is one of those shows apparently I have to watch. I haven't yet.
I didn't say that.
No, not you. Oh, well, yeah, I think you might have at least once for sure said that to me.
No.
But it's like...
I should give a shout out to my wife, Sarah, who asked me to give her a shout out on this show.
There you go.
Because she's the biggest Office fan in the world, so there you go.
I think Jana would want to compete with that.
I think we were having a conversation and Sarah was in the background and she was like, you haven't seen The Office? And she did an Office reference. And I think I was like, no, I haven't. That makes sense.
Sounds like her.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
good.
against Office life.
No, it's good. It's good. Go on.
No. Go on.
I was saying it's good that you brought up the whole, like, you mentioned The Office one more time. Is when you said earlier, you guys know how you have this feeling of like when you listen to lyrics and you can say, oh my God, that was artfully done, or there's some genius behind that, or was inspired. When you were saying it, I was like sure and adamant, like that's never happened to me, that's ridiculous, that's stupid. But then suddenly, if you think about it, there are some times where you're like, that's kind of cool. I think that's kind of cool. But I don't...
well thought out.
Huh?
Like well
thought out, but I don't think it was artfully inspired.
For me, there's a lot of things like that. Like, it sounds cliche, but a lot of music, like a lot of songs, when you know them in the like order that they're in and you know exactly what point a certain sound comes, after a while, that's like... it was supposed to be there in a way. Like if you listen to some
but then
songs,
wait, give me an example. I've got to draw a line in the sand here because I'm not really sure what the disagreement's about here.
For me, I think there's like Issa says songs. I think what you're saying is just like songs are just songs. They're just sounds. They write like they come up with lyrics and they play out a certain way. But for me, I'm like, you listen to like really, really like some Nirvana songs or some Jimi Hendrix songs, and you listen to when the timing is of how everything's done, and you're like, that's how it should have been. Like,
No, but you were saying lyrics.
It sounds almost like natural.
yeah.
That's the closest thing to magic that I believe in.
So when people study aesthetic theory, art theory, people automatically, for the most part, assume that we're going to talk about the visual arts. But the most pure kind of aesthetic theory, art theory, is music theory. That's like the purest appreciation of the arts.
But
Anyways.
you don't appreciate them like that. You said you don't see.
No, I
an
said
artistic
specifically to what
value
you
in
said
music.
earlier, which was lyrics. For me,
But let me ask you a question, Issa. Do you think, I'm assuming when you talk about art theory, it's an academic discipline?
for the most, 100%, it's theory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think art, when it's truly, purely appreciated in any form, be it music, great literature, visual arts, whatever, be it movies, TV shows, whatever, do you think it's appreciated in its purest form by studying it or experiencing it?
Experiencing it.
Okay, so that's why I'm kind of not sure I'm quite on board with that, because if art theory is a bunch of people in suede jackets sitting around writing journal articles about it, then I'm like, yeah, that's not the best way to listen to the Rolling Stones.
But that's the thing. So you can have an educated experience, if that makes any sense. And when I use the word educated, it only means it was informed.
Right.
So
I just
suddenly-
think I'm in black and white terms. I'm like, I think the people who are appreciating that kind of art in its purest form are probably in the front row of the amphitheater where their band's playing,
Yeah.
rather than people who are up in the ivory towers. So as much as like, don't get me wrong, I'm like fully dorked out on academics. I'll study anything, but
I can see that, because at the end of the day, some academics or some papers, or most papers, are, as much as they want to avoid it, are written with a confirmation bias. Like for a little bit, unless it's a study, unless it's a scientific study.
that's not even my point. I'm saying someone writing an essay about the Mona Lisa, are they appreciating the Mona Lisa as much as someone who's standing there in front of it?
But at the end of the day, you listen, it could be such an altruistic effort for someone to write a journal article about the Mona Lisa and try to share something about the Mona Lisa that the average layperson would not appreciate by looking at it. So the experience of the art doesn't only have to be the fact that your rods and cones in your eyes are experiencing the paint or what the paint represents. It could be that you suddenly look at it and you're like, understanding that this linked to one thing when he painted it and he felt this. This you don't get from looking. And this is and that becomes dependent on the art itself. Like whether it's a conceptual piece, which is all about the fact that my father had cancer when I was 2 and died. It depends. So it's like
the other point is they can be they're always at least a little bit intertwined. Like you won't get people going to the front row of a rock concert, a Rolling Stones concert, like, who's this band? Wait a second, these guys are fucking awesome. Like they would know about the Rolling Stones. They would be as much as invested into the band.
Yeah, you're
as well.
right. You're 100% right.
But there is magical experiences though. I'm like magical in the sense there are these serendipitous experiences when you're like walking past something and you see something that catches your eye, or you hear something, you're like, what is that song? And it doesn't have to be as beautiful as like a masterpiece, but it's just you got interested and you look into it and suddenly you have this new discipline or new thing, new kind of genre that you can explore that you never explored before. That still can happen as an adult.
This is something I was going to bring up before and I forgot to say. Something else that's weird for me, like when we were talking about the song lyrics and when, like, I think Tom understood what I was saying, but once you hear a song in a certain way over again, it's like everything's mashed up.
That's why.
But it's the same with art. Like in some ways, it's the same thing. Where if the lyrics or notes or whatever were played in a slightly different order,
you would
like it would be such a small. Like the weird way I think of it is such a small difference to trigger that, like, not even butterfly effect, but it could be like a small thing that makes the Mona Lisa face the other way, or like something completely changed. And now the Mona Lisa is exactly that way.
The way it is.
Or like a Jimi Hendrix song is the way it is exactly. And if you change one thing, or like what he had for coffee that morning, the whole thing could be different.
Well, you've seen the infinite number of Mona Lisa parodies that exist, where they just change one tiny thing about her and suddenly it looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no, yeah, like the very idea, like
no.
the Bart Simpson or the Simpson kind of Mona Lisa. Any.
Well,
example.
that's pretty extreme. I'm talking about they'll do something like they'll paint like some makeup on her or something.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah. No, they like change it a little bit, and it just looks weird. Or they like change it to somebody else that looks similar, but it's not her, and you're like, wait a second, that's fucking throws you off for sure. But it's such a small thing, like to choose, maybe not choosing her, but like whatever, you know. One small trigger could have changed the whole thing.
Yeah. And so in French, there's something called the subjunctive, which is a tense for words depending on whether someone could have done the action in the future. So if I'm not too sure about how it's used anymore because I haven't been speaking French for a long time. But basically, if you say like, if I go there, I would be able to do something. That would be able to is a specific kind of. It's conjugated differently in French. So they have a whole subjunctive, a whole conjugation just for the potentiality of things. And that shows like the kind of thinking that must have developed in a civilization or in a language through the actual use of the language. It's like Arrival. I don't know if you've seen the film.
Oh yeah, I did.
Where she was saying that the aliens' language is what allows them to navigate time.
Yeah,
or
I remember.
I haven't seen this. I want to write this down.
It's quite good. Yeah,
it's a good.
It's worth
good
watching.
film.
For sure.
It's a really good film.
That reminded me of. Do you remember a while ago we started looking into what was it called? The Mandela effect, and we were talking about that for a while.
What
Do you know
a
much about it?
trippy
You don't know
theory.
about it?
We can ask him examples and see if.
Yeah, it's quite. It gets a bit weird. You don't know at all about.
Does
it.
Mickey Mouse have a tail?
I don't think so.
You'll be shocked because when you look and suddenly you'll see all the tails. It's shocking.
There's a bunch of these.
What was the
There's
color? What was the color of the nose of the tiger in Frosty Loops or Frosty?
Frosties.
Oh, Frosties.
Yeah.
I assume orange.
No, the color of his nose.
Like grey, brown.
It's blue. It's small stuff like that. And like, when did Nelson Mandela die, for example?
Like 2005, 4.
He got that right.
But when? When? Do you remember? Like
everyone knows him. Apparently, if you ask most people, they say he's died around.
The
80s,
main
90s.
thing. The main.
That's why it's called the
point of
Mandela effect.
No, the main point of it is that he died in jail when he was in jail or whatever.
So people think because that's what he's famous for.
But there's also a knowledge of his death. There's a feeling that he's died in the 80s or 90s.
But I'm not sure I understand what the Mandela effect is.
So the Mandela effect is that literally that if you ask most people they'll say he's died in jail in the 90s, 80s. But he's only died in 2004. And since that happened, people have been like finding all of these like glitch in the matrix
triggers.
things where like people are like 100%.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody remembers in the same way, but it's not the way.
When you look at it,
actually
it's
was.
like, and it sometimes feel like reality shifts till the moment you experience it to like confirm this thing which you were so sure.
But it's always the
wait,
weird
so
things.
let me make sure I understand then. So, do most people give the same answers for those three questions? Like, does Mickey Mouse have a tail?
Yeah.
What do they usually say?
There's no tail.
The Frosties one they usually say
It's a black or brown nose.
Okay, so
but never blue.
Okay, so it's like there's something in the zeitgeist that has something sticking something in the imagination.
So there's two sides. There's two sides of it. There's like the theory.
The most obvious thing.
The theory is hinting that there's some
multiple reality thing, simulation hypothesis. But the reality is just you catalog things in your head in a certain way. And I would assume, for example, the tiger thing, the reason you don't remember it as blue is because, all tigers have like a black
This
snout.
is very logical of you. You normally are nowhere near this logical.
But no, you don't realize, like, I am all in for rationalism. Like, I am 100% take all my dice, chips. Take all my chips.
I never know if dice is plural and if fishes is plural.
Fishes is not a word. Right? Fishes is not a word. No. Dice is plural and die is singular.
Okay.
And then
one die?
One die.
Really?
One die.
So, I don't like it.
It's weird. I know. It's D-I-E.
Yeah. I don't like it. No, I just don't like it.
But all in for rationalism. Like if someone can disprove something.
I'm not sure.
It doesn't take much to
shift your
away. I'm like obviously, yeah, I can look at the numbers. I can even if I could repeat an experiment myself, there's no way you're gonna convince me that anything
So
besides what I experienced. Like,
but you are a flat earther though. That's unique.
No.
That's a unique thing for you.
It takes one flight. It takes just one flight in the air to see.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Yeah, how do you know the windows? How do you know the windows aren't just TV screens playing?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh, Tom's also a flat earther, by the way.
Yeah. Not a flat earther. I'm a realist, Oliver.
Is this? Oh, there was such a good documentary though. There was a flat Earth documentary that we watched.
I couldn't spend time.
Man, it was good. Just because they were just fucking with them the whole time. Like they were following them along, like they were doing a documentary to figure it out.
Yeah,
and the last scene in the documentary is they do this experiment where they put sticks, like poles, into a lake or into like the ocean or like whatever, flat ocean or flat water. And they space them out, and they're like...
And they have to drive from one to the other.
No, they do a laser through it and put a hole at like 12 feet. Oh no, 12 feet, and then different distances. All 12 feet. And then they shoot a laser through it, and they're like, oh, we can't see it and everything. And the last scene of this documentary is like literally... like shows them doing their own experiment wrong, and it's a bit of... It just cuts to the end, and it's a bit like...
China, yeah.
It's good though.
I don't know
That's
what
the best
it is.
part about it.
What it is with like the flat Earth people always seem to be super Jesus-y as well.
For the most part, there's one person I was listening to them talk like a version of Ollie and I, of like amateur or couch chair psychologists, basically. At least for my part. Anyways, I was looking at this guy cringing, and I was like, oh my god, I'm cringing because I'm basically this guy. Like, I was like, oh my god, just like a recognition of like, fuck, I'm this guy.
In a parallel universe, you could be a flat Earth wanker as well.
Not only that, so this guy who's like speaking things that I would speak to a camera or whatever, saying things to a camera, and I was like, and then he said something along the lines of, yeah, but I buy into the flat theory now, a flat Earth theory, and I was just like,
oh wait,
whoa! I was
not
like,
me.
No, it's not that.
Oh.
I was like, fuck, what kind of beliefs or what kind of things or thoughts do I have that this guy who would say things I respect, basically is suddenly like, I'm exploring the idea. You know, it didn't take me long.
But it's worth thinking about.
All right, we joked about not being a conspiracy podcast, but I'm going to go over.
I looked into it. Of course, I looked into it.
Yeah, so did I, of course, because you.
I looked into it
to look into.
Like 2013.
He loves doing this.
Oh, of course.
I was on Flat Earth in 13. Where were you at?
Where were you at?
All right.
No, but seriously,
we said we weren't going to be a conspiracy podcast. What conspiracy theories? This is gonna, like.
I like this.
A fun little game. What conspiracy theories that are like could go either way?
That you think are still a thing?
Are you? Do you think would more likely be true?
More likely be true.
We landed on the Earth, on the moon, on the Earth.
Yes. That's happened.
I think about this about 3 times a week.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Which aspect?
It still fucks with me.
Which aspect? The moon.
Yeah, the moon and JFK.
3 times a week. You think about these things.
Oh yeah, I'm brushing my teeth. My mind starts wandering.
No.
Like,
But see, that's the
you're
thing.
joking.
I'm serious.
You're joking.
No, because Sarah is a complete moon landing. It never happened. It's
Really?
complete cover-up. And I'm like...
where did she get that from, though? What thing?
She watched
for
a
her is
documentary,
like
and there's nothing you can say to
they're
her.
all
that
so
change your mind.
biased, though.
100%. But the problem is, there's so much fishy stuff to do with the moon.
Just
like,
the moon. I
yeah.
like that we started this.
I know, but I'm sure
Let's
we were
talk about
capable...
it. I
go
can
on.
say I don't know much about
Me neither.
the
I'm
conspiracy
sure we were
theories.
capable of landing on the moon. But then, you know the whole thing about... Have you seen The Shining?
Yeah.
About how there's a whole conspiracy about how, and I don't believe this, just for the record, but there's a whole conspiracy about how Stanley Kubrick was trying to tell the audience through the movie that he was involved in the moon landings. For example, like the sun, when he's riding his bike around the hotel, it flashes to a shot of him and he's got a jumper on with like Apollo 11 on it, and then when the guy...
That's a reach. That's
It's
the
a big
crazy
reach.
thing about the internet now. Like,
That's
But
creepy.
also-
that's
But also,
creepy.
he's not. I think it's room 421 that they're not supposed to go into, and it's exactly 421,000 miles to the moon. And like people start putting all this stuff together.
That's
always
creepy.
Okay, I'll say something about
Especially
this.
because it's
I'll say
shining.
something about this.
Yeah, which is the creepiest movie I've
for
ever
people
seen.
to figure it out without him saying is way more difficult. Like that's definitely not
Intentional.
because
The whole idea
they
of an
always
auteur-
find shit.
That's what I'm
There's-
saying. I don't buy into it.
I
at all.
might. I'm not saying I buy it. But
what I
don't see
do
why
buy
not.
into is if you start looking into it and you realize the world in the late 1960s was radically different
Yes.
than it is today.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Like if you were an American, your entire schools would be drilled on what to do in the case of a nuclear attack because they were so terrified of like the red alert, the threat of the USSR somehow invading. I mean, there were really only two great superpowers.
Mhm.
Now there are major powers all over the world, and there's the whole
But it was
Francis
a crazy time
Fukuyama
back
and
then.
then
It
what's the
was-
other guy, Samuel Huntington debate and blah blah blah. But back then there was a real threat that the Ruskies were gonna
Us or them.
invade. Mm-hmm.
It was an us or them thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the world was dichotomized, kind of.
Completely
Okay, so what's the
different way.
idea about because going to being the first one to the moon is a bit like does it
well,
make
there you
that,
go.
is it that is too extreme to
What do you mean?
like that's not that much of a
But-
win.
but here's the
really.
problem.
It's a huge win.
The Russians sent the first satellite and the first man into space.
So it was a competition.
yeah,
To say our way of life is better. It's a big thing ideologically.
I mean, the Cold War is called the Cold War because there's no direct military conflict between the Russians and the Americans, right? So it's fought on other lines. It's fought at the Olympics. It's fought in terms of technology, and space is like the perfect metaphor for technology and how far. I mean, if you think about the game
It's-
Civilization, on the cover it's literally got. That's how you
Yeah,
imagine, the
okay.
monkey
It's a
on
fight
the
of
moon.
ideology. If how can you
how
imagine?
ridiculous is that though to think about?
It is, and
It's
it's such a
insane.
big.
It's like-
fucking.
It's
and you can-
bonkers.
it's
And you
it's like
can-
a big dick contest basically. It's like
more.
we-
Oh, no,
it's
yeah.
a big mind contest.
Oh, wait,
I can,
wait, hang on.
Yeah,
You got to make sure we're on the same page.
yeah.
You're talking about the ideology thing. You're talking about the space race thing.
I'm talking about to be able to together to be the president that says, okay, we're going to be the first ones to the moon. We go there, we stuck the flag in. That's like a big dick contest against the Russians at the time, USSR or whatever. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, look what we've done. Like, you're not hurting anyone.
but this is still going on today, right? It's like we could go seriously deep on this, but if
I'd
you
love
imagine,
to.
we have to.
if you imagine
to go.
from the time people literally came out from the trees and started figuring out how to cultivate land and develop agriculture, to develop small villages, to small civilizations, to like regional tribes that fight against each other, to
Trade.
warring nations, to people start trading together, to when they develop religions, to like all this kind of stuff up until today. The world is now kind of split along the way that society should be organized, and that's either basically
You think it's
the
worse?
the
at
rights of
worst
the individual.
point now?
Oh no, I think it's the best point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the thing is, eventually people start thinking about what's the best way to organize people, and in the 20th century, the world kind of split along two lines. The
So this is
American,
what I'm saying. You think it's the worst point now where it's so divided into different...
No, not necessarily
think
the worst
now-
point today, but it was. If you got to think between 1914 and 1991, there were 2 world wars. There were proxy wars fought on every continent.
That's what that's what I meant by today. I meant today as in like the last 100 years as opposed to the last 100,000 years. Like this kind of era is worse for being split of like we do things the right way.
No, I think to a certain extent it's probably. I'm not an anthropologist. I have no idea, but I think it's probably always been the tribe over there.
Things they do it right.
Yeah, or like look at what happened in what happened in Rwanda in the 90s. Like this is going to sound really racist, but to you or I, we could barely tell the difference between I think they're called Hutu and Tutsis, the 2 tribes that basically surround that part of Rwanda and Uganda. But to them, the difference between them is, it's like
Evident.
night and day. Yeah. So for them, the tiniest little differences is they're willing to die for in tens of thousands, in the tens
You
of
mean, like,
thousands.
Appearance-wise or just the way they do things?
Well, appearance-wise, but I'm sure they have different customs, and
okay.
et cetera, et cetera. But basically, the point is,
And they
if
went
you,
to war
if you
for
zoom
it a
out,
lot.
oh yeah, there was like a huge genocide,
Genocide,
and
dude.
Oh,
a coup, I think, and
There's a Netflix show on it
I haven't
now
seen
I haven't seen it,
called
but
Scorched Black Earth or something.
It's really dark.
It's super dark.
But that's what, like, it's always that, though. It's always like, it's bad turn. It's a dark
This
turn
is why
to
I was
take.
telling.
But
This
it's, Hitler as well was the same. Like, our way is the right way.
That's
of
why
doing
I
it.
was
That's
telling
why-
one of my best friends, that we need mixed race babies. More mixed race babies is like the only option. Like
Well,
really.
but here's the thing. That's the consequence of the beauty of like the age we live in now. That's the consequence, not the cause. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like having mixed race babies in Germany just means you'd have more dead mixed race babies. In the 1940s, I should
Yeah.
say, to any of your
Yeah.
German listeners.
I was
no,
gonna say
no, I definitely
Fix
understand.
that quick.
I definitely understand what you're saying, but we have to remember that Nazi ideology, people are easy to mix it up with communism or socialism, but they were not the same thing.
You're like...
They what roots do they have besides maybe a bit of Germanic ideology or European ideology?
But your thing was like past
I'm just saying.
the solution.
Oh, no.
Your thing
I
is like
think
past the solution though. You're like, we need more mixed race babies, of course.
Yes,
but
because
that's like
this
people
is-
getting on before
so-
that, sorting everything out.
So before we started the conversation, we had a dichotomy of mind and matter. That was one of the things, or dualism at the very least. But I think there's another dichotomy in human thought or human existence that some people, that's less popular than mind matter, which is where there things were existing a
priori.
yes, exactly, or there's a teleological end goal. So for me to say mixed race babies is the future or is the point, I'm thinking end goal, and you're saying I'm forgetting the whole a priori aspect of it, that this is the consequence of an action beforehand. But what I'm trying to say is
you need the end result.
you need to have an idea of the end result, which is like not an eradication of differences, a celebration of differences, but at the same time not equality in a conceptual sense where everyone's the same, like every cell's the same. That's like people think of communism and they think that, or they think of socialism, they think that, and that's like, I think that's
Well, that's that.
lack of imagination.
You and I might not see eye to eye on this.
I have
'cause
one as well that I
That's
think
the way
is-
that in every good example of communism being implemented in practice, that's the way it ends up.
None of them were communism in any shape or way or form. People tend to forget that. You know, that's why, like, I love Jordan Peterson. I do. I respect him because he's made people think a bit more. And I know he knows. But I think he's consciously...
What is real? I hear this argument from people. I hate getting into politics in general.
But it's not, at this point, it's not politics. At this point, it's economics, if anything. I mean, like, the just, like, actually talking on a high level about these economic theories more than anything. More than anything. But go on. What were you going to ask?
Well, no, all I was going to say is it's like that seems like an excuse to me. It's like, well, this time it didn't work, but that's just because they didn't do it properly. But it's like, okay, but the best examples we have...
hold on. I'm sure the listeners are going to be confused because I'm already confused.
Go on.
Your point was that there hasn't been a good example of communism being placed correctly. Hasn't.
Hasn't.
So
100% hasn't.
So
First of all.
communism hasn't been in place properly before.
However, because one of the...
And Tom said basically that there
It's a
has been
cop-out.
cases.
It feels like a cop-out to use that.
There has
argument.
been cases that worked before. You're saying, right?
No, I'm saying, firstly, it can't work because it can't. It's literally impossible because...
Go on.
Because if you're implementing a system that that basically deprives human beings of their competitive nature. You know, people want to strive and build and make and improve things.
Okay,
And they can.
One second.
Should have
One
a
second.
good,
Before you
I
get
love
going.
This. No,
Before you get going, you get into it.
Let me
One second.
Yeah, because
bullet point. Just bullet point what you mean. Like what restrictions are. Everyone gets equal. Like what limitations.
He has a good point. We need to agree on what we're talking about for sure.
What I'm saying is the natural. If you go down to the cellular level, cancer cells compete for food. Like you go down. Competition is fundamental to
existence
life.
for you.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. And actually, I
won't interrupt. Sorry.
What in an economic system, the greatest way to ensure the most people benefit is by allowing people the freedom to create value, and communism deprives them of that because what it does is it ensures that the most competitive people don't get to enjoy the spoils of their labor and are redistributed among the people who are less competitive. So what it's doing is I'm taking the long way around.
No, do it.
But what I'm effectively saying here is you've got to incentivize value add in a society.
So I'll respond to you.
Are you pro-communism as an idea? It could potentially work.
100%.
Okay.
First of all, I thought in my head I was.
I'm going to mediate an argument.
No, it's good. No. So first of all, the only thing I can think about of what you just said is that you are straight away jumping to an ideological defense contra communism without first. How do you explain it? You define communism by what you think it fights against. So already you're saying...
Well, so did Karl Marx, to be fair.
Go on. What do you mean by that, first of all?
His the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital, which he wrote before that, was basically an argument against the industrialization and the urbanization of society in Victorian England.
Really question. Have you actually read it, either?
No.
If you've read it, you will notice that it is not an argument against any of them. It's a description. This is what I think people completely miss the point. If you ever read Karl Marx, and I really recommend you do, because it's actually enlightening work, because he takes philosophy and he applies it to economics, which is amazing, almost unprecedented, besides maybe Adam Smith, who's the father of capitalism for the most part. He describes things, and then he has an idea of how it's going to progress. He's anticipated even socialism,
which was false. I mean, now we have hindsight in our favor, and we can say categorically
he didn't have hindsight.
Exactly,
and he was.
So he made a prediction, and it was wrong.
Whoa! No, you.
Yeah, what he thought was there would be a global revolution of the workers against the owners, basically, right? Which is the same thing that Lenin thought was going to happen, which he tried to create inorganically.
No. See, that's
in the USSR. That's right.
No.
Yeah.
See, like I said, when people say communism hasn't happened or hasn't been enacted properly, you have a mix of people saying that because they're repeating what they've heard, and you have a mix of people who are actually saying it like they mean it. And I'm one of the ones who mean it, because for true communism to happen, unfortunately, every square inch and centimeter of the earth where there's a person who can think has to think communally.
So this is what I was
That's
gonna
like
ask.
one of the real prerequisites of that's why they call it the first international, second international, third international. They're trying to say internationally we're all communists.
Okay,
but you're not.
So listen,
It's socialism.
For you, is it an all or nothing? Can you have?
It's an all or nothing.
You would say you're
either communist or you're not.
So this is where. So soon, eventually, this is a little bit of a different turn, but eventually we're going to have to shift a lot of things with how quickly technology is growing. Like at some point, it's
if we
inevitable.
ever get connected, that becomes communism.
It's inevitable sooner or later that there's going to be a lot less jobs available for humanity, and it's going to be, for me, I think it's going to be pretty extreme.
Why do you think that's inevitable?
It already is happening.
Class struggle. Literally, this is what at the end of the day, this is what he was talking about, right? He was saying that, like, at the end of the day, he's he's not saying I'm a prophet, but he's like describing things as they are, and then he says like it's gonna give out resources in real shape or reified shape, which is ideological resources. Even if the resources are actually there for everyone, which they are at the moment, once people in their head think that it might not be available, that's already a big shift of like, I'm going to keep this for me.
No, but regardless.
For me in my country, for me in my tribe.
Regardless.
He's saying that that's like
maybe
the issue.
Maybe I shouldn't have said inevitable, but with how quickly and how efficient technology is helping us get things done, you overwhelmingly more likely than not, we're going to not need a hell of a lot of jobs in 50 years, I would say. If we keep going the track that we're on.
I would say a couple of things. It's like, firstly, people have been scaremongering about technology taking over for a very long time, and now it's got to the extent where people are saying, well, a general AI...
No, but wait, they have been scaremongering since Industrial Revolution, for example, but it has affected things. It's not that they're just scaremongering.
Yeah, it's
They're
made life
progressing.
better for almost everybody.
I'm not saying it's going to be worse, but there is a lot of jobs that are not available, which people have to used to do.
Also, this is the problem. The fact is, you'll have to check this out. And I think I'm talking about American statistics here.
Mm-hmm.
But the unemployment rate at the moment, I think, is the lowest it's been since like the 1970s. So
Ever.
in reality, and you can say, okay, yeah, but then a
Yeah,
working
but
wage is
thanks
higher.
to Trump.
That's my point, though. What do you mean? I think that it's going to progressively get more and more homeless people, not just because of the Industrial Revolution. Like that was the start.
No, you're saying
Then we
it's
had
less
this,
now, right? You're
I'm
it's
saying
less.
life now is better than it's
But
ever
yeah.
been, and
There's-
it's only going to get better
There's less homeless
unless
people
we get
now.
hit by an asteroid or
Yeah,
something.
that's what he's saying. He's not saying there's
Mhm.
more. Yeah.
So there was
Yeah,
more.
I'm saying this is the
Where's the
problem.
cross?
This is the beauty of capitalism. Is like if you want to take you could say capitalism in its purest form has never been
Free capitalism.
implemented. Yeah,
Also.
and that might be true, but that's a lot of mental masturbation to get there.
Yeah.
You can say the freest countries in the world, really, in economic terms, are the United States, North America, Western Europe, Australia, Japan, probably, and in those places, the poverty line has risen higher than you can imagine from like the 1900s until today. What it means to be a poor person today, I mean, you can be poor and still have a flat
An
screen
iPhone.
TV and an iPhone.
Yeah.
Whereas in the
Yeah,
1900s,
for sure,
to be
but
poor
that's
means you thought
technology
you might starve to
related.
death this week.
That's related to technology, though.
No, and
That's
human
quality of
ingenuity.
increasing and so on.
Yeah, but in general, the quality of life has gotten better for everybody because of things getting better.
Yeah.
You
A
know-
rising tide lifts all ships. There's
Okay.
number 5. I'm out.
That's it, done. Okay, to wrap up to some extent, go on if you want to. You would say now, because I didn't know you were going to be so extreme about it that you have to be all in with it. You would
It's
say
not me. It's
No,
you know,
you said like
I'm
if it was
behind-
going to work, it would have to be all
I
in.
am behind this ideology. I'm
Okay,
behind.
but
I'm-
to work,
yeah.
you say it would have to be all in. It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's yeah.
you would agree that if you have that extreme of it, that
Radical
it has to be.
communism, for
Yeah.
example.
So that's your option.
that's
You
what
say it
rad-
has to do that to work. That or complete freedom. Which way would you go?
that or complete freedom.
Like that or completely
That
like
is
we don't
complete
help.
freedom. That's what I think you don't realize. That there's a reason you have idiots like me who are like all about Marx. It's because for us, we see it as the only kind of freedom that humans can
it's-
give each other. He didn't anticipate cybernetics.
Well,
But-
what about the freedom of not? If I decide I don't want to go to work tomorrow, in a communist,
Yeah, for me, it's
Yeah.
like the opposite of freedom.
utopia,
Why? No one's gonna force you.
But then-
Ideally, no. Why would you? His whole thing is that one of his whole things. He's got a lot of whole things, in my opinion. One of his things is the slave owners, capitalists, the owners of capital, which means the people who pay your wages, the people who own the land, who own the tech, should not subjugate people to do things mindlessly. First of all, if that's not a humanistic way of looking at the world, I don't know what is. Second of all, he's saying that once a lowly peon or once a factory worker understands the injustice that is being done to him or that he's being exploited, he can't stand it anymore. There's something inside him that says something's got to give.
Why does that guy have $100 million?
And I'm doing the actual
Why
hard
does
work.
Steve Jobs, who invented the iPhone, get to keep all that money, and me, who's screwing the back on the iPhone, not get
Exactly.
1%?
This is what he says. He says you're alienated. I'm building an iPhone and I can't even afford one.
That's called
How?
entitlement.
For me, the way I look at all of these things is
It is. That's
is
wanting something that somebody else made.
My view on it, my view on it is across the board, pretty much I would say with 95% of things in general. I would say
I have to. I'm so sorry. The only reason I have to interrupt is because it's not even about what you just said, but it's about what you just said. No, it's about what you said earlier, where you said, imagine there's someone who can't enjoy the fruits of their own labor.
Mm-hmm.
In this very model of a factory worker making a burger or creating an iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
his subsequent value that he's made to make this final product, he is removed from the final product. So he can't even enjoy that little inch
Well,
of
is he
the iPhone
i-
or the
i-
Tesla or
is
the burger
he-
he's made.
Is he a slave?
Ideologue, yeah. in a weird, twisted way,
Does he?
you're saying that the value of one person, like you're saying that there is a real link between someone's existence as a CEO at 21 versus someone's existence as a McDonald's worker at 21.
No, that's
There's
like
a different
luck
link
of the
in how
draw,
much.
almost. But that's
Oh no, I'm saying luck plays a massive factor.
huge.
I'm
huge.
not, and
It's
I'm not saying
a good
that
thing.
welfare shouldn't exist.
for me-
And I'm not saying we shouldn't try and raise the poverty line.
This is
I'm-
what you're
you know.
saying. I'm not trying to be mean. It's not a personal attack. But I would say that the ideology or the camp that you're behind is saying raise them enough, but not enough to kill me, not enough for them to realize I'm taking advantage of them.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should be in a position to kill anyone.
No,
ideally.
but like
Okay, let
not
me-
kill, but like not enough for them to realize that they could be taking care of themselves, or I could be working for them.
by torching the factory and taking it all for themselves.
Okay.
No, this is not. But that's not class consciousness at that point. They don't even understand what they're doing. Looting and rioting is not.
Okay, let me
That's
go
not-
over a
there's
few
no
things.
intelligence behind
You
that.
guys have done your 2 rounds.
Well, let me
have
just
a quick
final
one.
closing statement.
No,
from
I
my
want
side.
to. Okay, let me go
final,
into this quick.
final closing statement.
Go on.
The only we can prove this through history. The best, most efficient way to get to the utopia that I think socialists imagine is through allowing entrepreneurs and
Yeah, okay,
financiers.
so-
But that's the thing.
hold on.
But that becomes capitalism.
Okay, forget
exactly.
that.
The
Listen,
fastest way to
listen.
communist utopia is through capitalism.
You guys are like, listen,
I wouldn't disagree. I don't disagree.
listen.
I've always said we have to have, unfortunately, dark free capitalism, and it has to eat itself. It has to implode in itself, and then we will have
Listen.
this like garden
Listen,
on Earth.
you said
Eden
before.
on Earth.
You said before. There's no evidence of true capitalism, right?
True communism.
Communism. Sorry, you said there's no good example of true 100% communism. The things that I think, like this is all based on personal opinion, personal views, but for me, across the board, with 95% of things that you can see or interact with within like communities, governments, whatever, I think the best resolution for things, for the most part, is people naturally figuring out the next steps. If it's forced too much, like communism is a huge force. It's the most extreme force.
You guys keep thinking of socialism. This is
Bingo.
the argument.
You hit the nail on the head. One's top down, one's bottom up. The bottom up solution is the only thing that'll ever work. That's true with almost anything.
But that's the thing. You guys keep thinking of socialism.
And you're
The
saying
whole-
top down doesn't work.
Almost never.
Yeah, I
planned
agree.
economy.
I agree.
I am not for planned economy. But if everyone involved, all of their brain power in a little aspect, generate that planned economy.
It's too much of It's too much of a one-off diamond. Like no, the thing is, we as humans, as humanity, cannot.
I win.
Why? Listen.
I
listen.
win.
Listen.
I win.
Listen.
'Cause
Let me
that's the
finish. You talk for
argument.
30 minutes.
Yeah,
Let me talk.
Go on.
Us as humans, as like more not individual humans as a community, as a like mass population, don't
As a
have,
species.
I don't think we have the capability to be able to control ourselves to the extent, to that 100
Well,
extreme extent. That's perfection. You're thinking about robots. We're not robots. We
That's
have
true.
anomalies. We have too many things that we trip up on.
Not only
Greedy
that,
people.
not only that,
What do
but
you know about what I'm thinking of? First of all, I'm not thinking of robots. I'm not.
No.
I mentioned
that's the
it
only way it
earlier.
will work, I think.
Yeah, but how do you know?
Like no fuck ups.
How
no
do you
trip
know
ups.
what my ideology or what I subscribe to
But okay,
constitutes?
even in
And-
the simplest form of it, money distribution, wealth distribution.
There is no wealth. There is no capital to be distributed that way.
Okay, wealth as we think of it now, in what it would be,
There is no currency exchange.
something has
It's
to be
such a
exchanged. You have to
hard
eat. You
concept.
have to eat food.
Yeah,
whatever.
Issa, let me just take it back a couple of steps. You said that this is an economic debate, not an ideological
Exactly.
debate, right? So how do you solve the pricing problem in communism?
That's the thing. There is
How do you-
no market.
But you have to eat. Somebody's going to eat, right?
Yeah.
There is no market. It's a community.
Forget market. Forget market.
There is no market.
Forget market. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. You eat food, correct?
Yeah.
Say you go back to the very, very rawest time of humanity.
Yeah.
You kill an animal. You have to distribute the food, or something has to be distributed.
Yes.
Somebody gets a bigger piece of meat than somebody else.
This is
Somebody's
this,
more hungry than somebody else.
fine. More hungry, you eat more.
How do you decide? Like, I'm bigger. We're not perfect. We're so far from perfect.
We are at this point where we are at the point where if we can, let's say we agree on some things as humans, somehow we agree on some fundamental, like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. We agree on, like, as if we have a basic set
principles.
of morals,
Okay.
that, like, the nice things. Let's say we're nice people. Okay, and we can talk about not nice people later as well. I'm so down to do this.
One second. You said
died for this ideology mentally.
You said, given that we, as all humanity, species, agree on certain principles.
Yeah, for the most part.
The problem is,
which
one person says screw those principles and doesn't want to be part of
like
communism.
I said, we can think about so-called.
Anomalies.
Well, no. The whole idea is that everyone is a communist.
How? That's my point. That's my problem with it, though. Like, how can you're forcing them to be communist?
No, there is no coercion. There is no coercion. But that's
then it's just a theory, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
That's why it's called a communist theory.
Yeah. No. Okay. In that case, I'm with you, but the conversation doesn't really go anywhere.
It's not practical.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. You have things tied in. This is why it is so amazing. It's actually like philosophy par none when you go into it. You said it's not practical, but if you actually go in and read and really think about these things and just really, 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 really think. Let's say you can go into a white room, and you can spend 2 hours or 2 months trying to understand and wrap your head and say, I'm going to shed all prejudices. You're going to see the practicality of one ideological stance versus another, and realize the practicality of the other one grasps and understands the human species and is willing to have it thrive.
But for me,
whereas one is saying you're in the muck. Good luck.
What it makes me think of is like what Tom said at the start. It's deeply rooted into our DNA that we, like, from the beginning.
You can't say that not knowing the roots of DNA.
No, okay, but we for hundreds of thousands of years have competed for so much. Like, for food, everything.
But that's why earlier, that's why my first response to you was, you're assuming and you're negating or you're arguing against something that I have never stated. I have not removed competition from communism. Free competition and so on, like, we can talk about it, but I haven't dictated what is.
Why would I want to... if I have an idea for a new phone software, for a new app that I think loads of people will download and pay money for, why would I make it?
The hardest
where's the incentive for me?
The hardest thing for me to get around is this too much of a pipe dream. Like, it's just not practical enough that you could get everybody on board and, like...
Here's the thing. There's only one way you get people on board. Go on.
Dangle a carrot.
Force
the
them.
barrel of a gun.
Force them.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Like, the only way to get everybody on board is to force people or brainwash people.
That's why it's called ideology, right? It is a kind of brainwashing. When you use the word brainwashing, it's the same thing. Brainwashing, ideology, propaganda, they're all the same thing.
No. An ideology is just a set of concepts that you agree with.
This is the thing, right? Yours and mine at the moment. How do you explain it? It's gonna sound so arrogant, but true communism contains capitalism. It doesn't supersede or doesn't erase this past. You know, whereas capitalism is still a mind shift. You know, that doesn't it finds it hard to see the ideology of communism and say that this is something that could work, because it would eradicate everything that a capitalist might stand for, which are these things that you both are bringing up.
Like liberty.
Exactly. You guys think that in this supposed theoretical thing that you have to attack it down because it might infringe on your liberty.
No, I never said you had to attack or anything.
But you guys have been.
I don't think it's... Yeah, but it's just saying it's not... For me, I think the healthiest option going forward for humanity is the natural path that we take. The more you force things, like I would say less government to be involved, less intervention from government, let people figure it out as much as possible. But that is, people thrive, and the problem with it is it's a shit thing.
What?
That some people thrive so much and some people struggle.
The inequality thing, I'm over even. The discussion, it's fine. But what you forget, like you said, in your own model, you have people who need competition. What if the environment gets in the way of your competition? What if these people who don't matter as much and don't need clean water get in the way of your competition?
That is the inequality of everything.
Free markets, yes. So you're saying
that's the
let
inequality.
that run its course.
Yeah.
No, but I'm not saying there shouldn't be. I did say this. I don't think there shouldn't be a social safety net. I'm not against welfare.
I know. But
You know.
we have to go with the extremes just so you can just bring it up again.
And in the extreme ends of it, both sides, I would always go to the natural path that we take. Like the more intervention, I think is always
But that's
worth.
insane.
Because there's
even
too
on
much.
even on a logical argument right there, you're saying you're willing to let people that you didn't want to die a few episodes again, you're saying spend the money, save their lives. You're saying I'm willing to let the natural way of things
on
kill
both
people.
extremes.
Whereas one where we're trying, try to
Both-
save everyone.
Both
and you're saying let them
extremes.
die.
Both extremes. But I think if it was forced, like if it's not both extremes and it's just a discussion, then it's different. But extreme of like one complete side of it or the other, like you have to do one or the other, then I would say
What's the other? What's your model of the other? My point is that if you're in the ideological camp of capitalism,
this is why I said the
you
points.
can't even.
This is why I said the points are important of deciding what your main points of capitalism is.
What?
Like at the start, when I said we should define.
No. I think we agree that
What?
there is one. We agree that there is two different ideologies that we're talking about. But what I'm arguing right now is that you see the freedom one as only capitalism and anything else is not. Doesn't include freedom.
No,
or doesn't include
the only
liberty.
thing I think as soon as, like I would say to aim for more freedom that we have at the moment, like less control, less, and charity and trying to help people is one thing. But as soon as you force or intervene, I never think that's a good thing.
But that's the thing. That my point is that like you're saying there's planned economies. You're saying you have to dictate for everyone what's going on. You know, it's just like that's not at all what I'm even like talking about.
So you're saying hypothetically, if this was once put into place, like it's a nice idea. It's not practical. It wouldn't. It can't happen. Really.
No, I'm not saying it can't happen. I mean, at the end of the day, why would someone subscribe to something? That's why I said a bit not too long ago. I was like, this is one of the things which is so practical. Like it becomes a thing that people should have been striving for since he freaking wrote the papers. Like people should have been like reading it and like, okay, I get it.
Because for
I'm
me,
ready.
the only
Let's do it. Let's
thing,
just do this bloodlessly.
The only thing, and you're gonna say no, that's not what it is. But the only way that I would think, like if it was tried to do, would be a China scenario, or whatever,
You know,
or a communist Russia scenario.
You know,
half done.
I will legit say, last thing, and then we can talk about something else. Because I know how heated, and I know how like, not draining. I don't feel drained, but it's like really an ideological butting of heads. It's like, last thing I was gonna say is that in these ideological debates, you always have. Maybe I'm doing it as well. I don't think I am because I feel like I've really, really, really thought about this. Like in both camps, and I am living in a capitalist global society at the moment, so I'm already in one camp. Obviously, is that you on the other hand, other end of the spectrum, which is like pro-capitalism or like saying that this is the system at the moment and the other one can't exist.
You're saying that that's the stance that I have?
Yeah.
No, it's not though.
Okay. Let's see. Then that already. Let me get to my point. Is butting head like choosing a stance means, or like having an idea, having an ideology means that you're not gonna have any room for the other one. So the only way you can grasp what the other one is saying is in the framework that is.
You're on board with that thing.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm
basically,
not,
you
I'm
can
not
only
on
use
either
that.
camp at all. I'm not on board with either. Though.
But that's the thing. It's like I can say, for me, the way it sounds is like you can't grasp your head around. You're using your concepts of the other system.
Let me explain. I'll explain as best I can then. You were saying the only way it works is that far extreme against the other far extreme. For me, there's so many things
not the far
like
extreme, against the current. or against the
but
way.
you think I'm 100% on board with the current system as it is
I
now?
wouldn't say on board. I'm saying that you're not giving the other ideology a benefit of
I'm
the
not
doubt.
again. I'm saying that the complete extreme is not healthy. I don't think it's just not healthy or practical to try and do it. But having said that, I think for me, I'm always like the ideology that I would firmly believe in is that, like I said, the less you can intervene and the more you can let people figure things out for themselves, for the most part, for me is always the best option. But a couple of episodes ago, I brought up that
Yours is laissez-faire.
No, but I brought
economy,
up
basically.
that stat of like the US military budget, $868 billion, and to solve world poverty is 184. I think 184 billion over 20 years or whatever. Not that you would have to force people, but things like that to try to like, if you could say all of these people are going to get this money together and all these people are going to get this amount of money together, is, you know, and convince people that it's for a good thing and you can solve poverty as humanity, no one's going to starve anymore, whatever. Those things should be very, like, really, really, really considered from everybody.
This podcast is heavy. Do you ever just make dick jokes?
Oh, yeah, the last episode.
Talk about Ollie's farts like we did
the
before.
last
That was
episode.
Jana's.
You should listen to it. It's like
The last one was... Oh, no, it wasn't heavy, actually. I remember which one the last one was.
it was just dick jokes, the whole thing.
It was heavy in a different way. It was Issa saying
No,
outrageous
you
shit.
cannot. Like that's just like
You already said it on the last episode, so
Yeah.
it doesn't make a difference at all.
No, I think so. You know.
Well,
how
okay, as a suggestion to our podcast, then Tom, you would like more dick jokes,
Definitely.
less talking about like
Less
the
intelligent.
future of humanity.
It's
less
because you want to
intelligent
know. Okay, it's not even about.
But that's kind of the running joke because we're talking about this. Issa, by the way, right now is hitting the fucking roof because he's so mad that he wants to get his points across and get us to understand his point of view.
No. It's not.
But
It's
again,
not. It's not you guys. It's not.
Again,
you guys.
we're just like it's a running joke that we are fucking such dummies. We're like trying to come up with these intelligent conversations, but they're really not very good.
No, it's how do you explain it? It's like you get people who think they're expanding their knowledge or their frames of reference in the world. Everyone, not only, like me included, but all they end up doing is going into an echo chamber of things that reinforce their thoughts. This is like, I think this is the fallacy of everyone. You have some people who are staunch atheists, and yet for them to even reach a concept of atheism, you had to have hundreds and thousands of years of people going and using religion as a technology almost, and yet they are ready to just say, I don't need this anymore, you know, and they don't understand that that's an ideology in its own right. Atheism is a kind of religion. You worship science. It's just like, what I'm trying to say is the discussions need to be had, and to run away from them or to like not really grapple with them by yourself, for example, is one thing, but with others is another. And then without end up fighting or killing each other or arguing or physically fighting, you're doing yourself a disservice as a human. If reincarnation exists, you're going to reincarnate and have to deal with the issue eventually of like finding this other element and like, okay, what is the real issue? And I'm just saying like that's the thing.
You're definitely right. Can I change the subject completely?
Yes.
Yeah. We were talking about education. Well, we were.
Yes.
We were going to talk about education reform before the podcast started. I read something the other day. I had no idea about this, but this may interest you somewhat, Ollie. We were talking before about, you know, how
Burn the schools.
exactly, yeah.
Burn the schools. We've heard enough of this already.
Without people
Yeah.
in it.
But, and I'm guessing you've talked about this on previous episodes anyway.
Not that much.
Which aspect?
I just said I hate school.
Well, just about the fact that, like, you know, I wouldn't say school's ineffective. It's just, you know, it's a lot of it feels very unnatural,
Ineffective.
right?
I would say it's ineffective.
Okay.
Okay, what was your thing? Sorry.
My only thing is this. You go back to the I only learned this recently. I had no idea about this until about 6 months ago. If you go back to the medieval ages, people either would be completely uneducated, as in they wouldn't be able to read and write, or they would be educated because they had so much money that they could afford to send their kids to school instead of to the farm.
Or they were monks.
Or they were monks, that's true. In the case that they had so much money that they could send their kids to school, or themselves to school, they wouldn't have any reason. You know, most people go to school now. This is the linear kind of model of it, right? People go to school so they can learn stuff, so they can get into a better school, so they can learn more stuff, so they can get to university to learn more stuff, so eventually get a job, to make money and get stuck in Henry David Thoreau's kind of rat wheel of meaningless.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what the book's about?
No, it's about escaping it, first of all. Like, not escaping
but
it,
it's
like
about that in
transcending it. But yeah, it begins with that.
Nice.
Which is
so. Look into it. I
so
might watch
here-
the movie.
But here was the model that here's the model they used in medieval times. So they had liberal arts, as we know it today, is usually basically philosophy, economics,
sociology.
Maybe literature, whatever. The liberal arts had a very specific meaning back in the medieval ages. So it's based around 7 subjects: the trivium, as in 3, and the quadrivium, as in 4. The trivium being grammar, logic, and rhetoric, which is grammar, the mechanics of language, so like literally how language works, how you put sentences together, blah, blah, blah. Logic, the mechanics of thought and analysis, so, learning how to make up your own conclusions from what people have written. And then rhetoric, which is basically dialogue, like arguing points about something. Like you guys are engaged in rhetoric, obviously. Mm-hmm. Now, the really interesting thing is the bit that I didn't know anything about, which is the quadrivium. So the quadrivium is all about numbers, and they have 4 specific subjects in here that will be studied. So you have arithmetic, which is numbers as abstract concepts. Arithmetic, basically like maths as we would study it now. Geometry, which is numbers in space. Mm-hmm. Music, which is numbers in time. Mm-hmm. And astronomy, which is numbers in space and time.
Amazing.
What was the last one?
Astronomy. Literally the study of the stars and our place in it.
Sorry, just to clarify, this was the school curriculum across the board at the time, medieval time.
I wouldn't say there was really no board to be across.
No, but that was the.
It's.
When was this? When was that?
You're talking 6th or 7th century up until probably
Renaissance
1600s.
And
yeah.
So what was the point?
The point was, I've never thought about it in that way.
Education reform or something you said on.
But basically, my point is, this is what.
Sake,
This is what people were teaching themselves or their kids.
Oh, okay.
If they didn't have any reason to learn, they were just learning for learning's sake. That's what they would learn. Numbers in all of its different forms. So numbers in time is how they define music. Numbers in space is how they define geometry. And learning these things would help them put together models of the world.
And that's why Pythagoras eventually worshipped the one, absolute
but
number.
Doing that, knowledge for knowledge's sake, don't you end up like Buster Bluth?
What?
If you go off the tracks a little bit, maybe, yeah.
It's
Arrested
Development. The young kid is he studies everything and just keeps studying different, completely outrageous topics just for the sake of it.
Sounds like us.
No, but he's different.
The great thing is, have you seen Veep?
No, you keep going on about it though.
Yeah,
worth a watch.
The guy who plays Buster in Arrested Development plays. Yeah, he's awesome.
There's a lot of those underrated actors you see in that role. He must have got into the Buster role. Even that is did a damn good job. That's really seeing acting excellence. Having to play a shit role like that.
Yeah, having to play an idiot. It's not
for me,
doing it well.
That's the original actor. Right?
For me, Tom Cruise isn't an actor. That's Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Tom Cruise is really famous for being Tom Cruise in movies.
Tom Cruise gets up in the morning and pretends his hair comb is a sword.
Yeah,
probably 100%.
Done, ready to jump out of the plane.
100%.
Has he ever played a different role than Mission Impossible Tom Cruise?
I want to see Tom Cruise in a rom-com where he gains a bit of weight.
Yeah. I want to see him and Adam Sandler go at it for a girl.
He must have done a rom-com.
I want to see Tom Cruise and Seth Rogen in Blazing Saddles.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
What do you mean? When is this going to happen? I want to see it now.
I'm telling you. It's going to happen.
That's going to happen as much as your fucking communism's going to happen.
I'm going to expand my...
It's a pipe dream.
It's going to happen.
Which one? Seth Rogen, Tom Cruise, go at it for...
Oh my God, I'd love to watch that.
They go on a weekend away in Hawaii to fight for the girl, Tom Cruise's child
Crush,
sweetheart,
yeah.
and Seth Rogen stole the girl away from him, and he's going to go win her
After he
back.
said he wouldn't.
But still,
After
you
he
would
said
get
he
some
wouldn't.
Tom Cruise. Still, Tom Cruise would land in Hawaii, jump out of the plane, and he would Mission Impossible the shit out of the rom-com.
You have a Wrangler with no top.
I like him. I think I'm okay with Tom Cruise.
Which part?
He's okay.
He's okay.
He's a bit mental, isn't he?
Yeah.
He was a Scientologist, right?
He is.
Still.
Yeah.
I think he's the head honcho. Pretty close to it.
He's proud to be a Scientologist. Yes.
He's a crazy cat.
Yep.
He's got a
He is-
shitload of
He
money.
is to Scientology what George Clooney is to Nespresso.
Is George? What? Is George Clooney like the face of Nespresso?
You serious?
I didn't know. Yeah, I'm serious. I didn't know.
You never seen the adverts?
No,
What
no, no.
else?
What did he say?
Espresso. What else?
He's
says
to
Nespresso and what
Scientology
else?
what James Bond is to dry martinis.
Yeah, exactly.
Dry martinis, shaken, not stirred.
Yeah.
What was he asking for then? Martinis, was it? Is that his thing? What was
Yeah.
his drink?
Yeah, martini, shaken,
Yeah.
not stirred.
Oh yeah.
What is what's the dry element? Like dry vermouth? Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Is it?
I thought there's no drink in his glass.
Oh dear. It's just you think it's super modern. He gets like a smoke
A
instead of
vape martini.
alcoholic vape.
A vape martini, alcoholic vape.
007 was fucking innovating back then. Give me a
Oh.
vape martini.
I feel bad because like I haven't talked about communism in like literally almost 5 years with anyone. I've only been reading the same arguments online, and it was.
What do you
like,
feel bad about?
Oh, that I got heated. That I was like, you guys don't know.
It's good. I like it because Issa's been virtually seeing a therapist. He's a robot. He just Skypes with him, but he keeps telling me. He's half smug about it, but
I'm so
confident.
smug.
He's confident that he's come a long way now. He's like, I'm so impressed with myself that I can keep this cool and stuff. And it's glimpses of this that I'm like, yeah.
You will see
Check
about
yourself.
that.
Check yourself.
No. What I meant.
Because you said I'm willing to die for communism at one point.
Did I say that?
Yeah, I'll reference it in the
Oh,
show
God.
notes. I'll get the exact seconds, milliseconds.
I hope I didn't say that.
You said I'm at the point where I'm willing to die for communism.
I hope I didn't say that because like that's a big thing to say.
You said it. No, take it back.
No takesies.
And the most extreme form as well.
Yeah.
There's no
but
middle ground.
it's all yeah. Anyways, fuck communism.
How has your stance changed so much so drastically, so quick?
Fuck communism.
All right.
I want to be like the next Steve Jobs.
Then I want you to buy an American flag shirt,
Done. I have one.
and your wallet has to have the golden eagle on it.
Done. Doing it.
Fuck the commies.
Fuck the commies. Right. Card holders, McCarthy, motherfuckers.
You know how we got on this topic?
I
The moon!
dread to think.
The moon landings.
I can't believe we didn't talk about the moon landing and conspiracy theories.
Shit.
You know,
That
I
was
think
a
you were going to ask
drastic
us.
jump.
what
All right,
our
let's wrap
favorite
up. We got to
conspiracy
wrap up
theories-
now. Let's not go into it too much.
It's past my bedtime already.
Oh, true,
Conspiracy theories that you're more than 50% believe in. I'm not even going to argue with them. Drop bombs. I'm going to move swiftly along.
Go on.
I'll list them off. Okay, both of you. We'll play.
Let's go one each.
Yeah,
little
one
game
each.
to wrap up. No, I want to hear both your thoughts on the same one. So we'll play a game to wrap up. We got a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Just say more than 50% believe that the
this is fun.
so more than 50% or less than 50% likely that the conspiracy theory is true.
Yeah. I
Okay.
get you. Like yay or nay.
Do you
basically.
think there was an extraterrestrial aircraft crashed in Roswell? Issa.
I don't know the whole thing. I would say yes.
Thomas?
I wish there was so badly.
I'm on Tom's side. I have to
But
say
no.
I wish there was, but I don't think so.
I think the Russians
Extraterrestrial.
landed a plane there.
Interesting. Next.
Extraterrestrial
Next,
is
next,
a big
next.
one. Next
Next.
one.
Wow.
JFK.
I can't believe the only yes. What is the theory there? That it was a
Government killed him.
That's a big thing, right?
More or less.
I guess.
Let's go with
Yeah.
government killed him.
I think the conspiracy
fanboy
is
killed him.
that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah. But it was aided by the government.
Okay, and by the government for the American people. That's the reason he was killed.
No, like government were to do with killing him, or...
So it was a coup d'etat almost.
Yeah, essentially.
Interesting.
This is as much information as you need to make a judgment. No
Yes.
documentaries, nothing. Yes.
Yes.
Top.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's right.
Ooh, okay.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say yeah.
Next.
I'm on board. 9/11.
Ooh.
Was
Yes.
the US government involved
Yes.
with the planning of 9/11?
No.
Oh,
I mean,
with
there's
the planning?
so many.
Or no, not with the planning.
There's so many red flags, but I'm still like, nah.
Not
That's so big.
Not with the planning. Not
Everything
with
would
the
have to go so perfect.
But there was something dodgy.
Oh, there's a lot of things that are dodgy.
There's a lot of dodgy.
Yeah.
A lot. Like there is something there that we don't know yet.
It's just too... Someone would have come forward by now.
What if they're all there?
Interesting, because there's a lot of
What if they...
documentaries about it.
Next.
That's the
More,
thing that
more,
gets me
more.
about the moon landings. All those
So
people
this
that
is
got killed.
one. Moon landing.
Not
would
faked.
say.
Not faked.
No, I think it was faked.
You think it was faked?
I'm
You think it was fake?
I'm literally right on the fence.
Not faked. I don't... It's just... No. There's something about the photos. The light. The light is so... Something about the light is beautiful. Not faked.
What do you mean?
If you look at the photographs, there's something, the starkness, the reflection of the astronaut suit, and just
Too much to
There's
not
there's
know.
you.
Too
It's
much to not
of course I might be wrong, but like there's an intuition that it happened, for me. What else? More conspiracy theories, and then we can wrap up. Like, come on.
What about, you ever seen the documentary Who Killed the Electric Car?
No, what?
No. That's a real life
Ooh,
conspiracy.
Okay, here
What's
we go.
this?
That's a good one, actually.
About basically the oil industry trying to make sure that electric cars didn't come on the scene. That's a great movie.
I would believe that. That's easy. It's just like, yeah, corporations, fuck capitalism.
Okay, I've got a good one.
Come on.
Oh yeah, what was yours on that?
Yeah,
I would say yeah.
Well, what's yours?
I would
Yeah,
say
you guys need
definitely
to
yeah.
say-
Oh, yeah. I don't even think it's a debate.
Oh, okay. But yeah, more.
All right,
I like these.
couple more.
This is fun.
I got a good one. This is a weird one. This is one I'm
I
super
have
into.
one.
This is one I'm super. I'll give you a bash afterwards. All right, my one here. Do you think that somebody like a Nikola Tesla had found an ultra reliable,
Yes.
close to renewable energy source, self-renewable energy source that's been suppressed or killed off, and everyone's...
No.
You don't think?
It's the other. It's he no. Alternating currents, basically. Alternating. Yeah, you're talking about.
Because there's a few theories I
AC.
can't think of off the top of my head.
It's AC
of
versus
people
DC.
that have found these crazy inventions and that have been killed. There's a bunch of them that I looked into at one point where people have found a really, really, really efficient renewable energy source and then been killed supposedly for it.
No.
The only problem with that is, in this day and age, people are getting subsidies for building
Yes.
clean energy plants.
Exactly.
So, I mean...
I think no. I think it's
who would have killed them?
All right. Fine. Yours. What was your theory? you
Mine
wanted
was
to
a
say?
bit stupid actually.
Go on.
It was gonna go along the lines of: do you think there are people who actually have magical gifts like psychic powers or like being able to read stuff in your head and stuff like that? Like, do you think there are people like with those supernormal things?
No.
I think no.
But don't tell my mum, my wife, or my sister.
Wow, you guys are hard nosed on that.
Yeah.
It's not even a
Yes.
conspiracy for you guys. Are like, there's no magic, there's no extra shit.
No.
Whoa. Okay, I want to do a whole episode with you again about this.
Okay.
Because yes, it's a yes for me. Hard yes.
Really?
It's a 95% yes.
I would say 95% no.
Holy shit.
Maybe more. Maybe 99. Of people that have psychic powers, 99% no. Or
Yo, the cat did not like what you just said.
I think you're more paranoid though. Like Jano is more into that, but gets paranoid about that kind of stuff. All right, Princess Diana.
Do you believe in ghosts?
It's a hard one. Do I believe in ghosts?
Jana's nodding in the corner.
I do not believe.
She's hard, yeah. She's
I do not
100% on ghosts.
I do not believe in ghosts.
Me neither.
I don't believe
All right.
in ghosts.
Princess Diana, government or car crash? And I have one more big one.
I don't know.
Car crash.
You have to say.
No.
No, you don't think
It was
I think
just
it
like
was
a
car
regular-
I
crash.
think the guy was drunk.
Okay. Who was the guy? Hastings.
What's this?
Michael Hastings.
What about it? What's the thing?
Oh
He-
no, they blew him the fuck up.
What is
Really?
this?
So
What is this?
there was a guy who went to, I think it was in Afghanistan or Iraq, one of the two. He went as a journalist for Rolling Stones.
This is
Yeah,
easy. They
but-
hushed him up, huh?
No.
Yeah, basically he was
Oh,
working
yeah.
for, I think it was Rolling Stone magazine. He basically wrote an expose of a guy called General Stanley McChrystal, I think. I have to double check this, but I think it was him. And was going to, I think he was about to out his either like blatant war crimes or an affair, one of the two.
They killed him for.
Ollie, you got it up in front of you now?
No, sorry, I
No.
didn't.
You're just
Anyway,
scrolling through Twitter.
it was like it was foul play, whatever, in war, right? They were like, it was just boy talk or all this kind of stuff between like fucked up things they've done whilst they're.
So what's the conspiracy? So basically,
So he got back to America,
whistleblowing.
and he wrote this article about saying about all this shit that they were saying, which they thought that it was kind of just them talking between themselves, and he kind of went out and went off of these people, and it was like a form of whistleblowing. So the conspiracy theory is that he has like this C200 Mercedes or whatever, and the conspiracy theory is that they hacked into his car when he was driving and made him drive 180 miles an hour or 180 kilometers an hour and swerved him off the road into a tree or whatever.
His basically what Business Insider had a reporting at the day after he died. It says, journalist Michael Hastings, 33, died in a car crash on Tuesday. The BuzzFeed writer and Rolling Stone contributing editor fearlessly covered the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and American society in general without pandering to its power, while writing in ways that citizens could understand. While writing for a mass audience, put a fact in every sentence. Hastings, who wrote the book The Operators, The Walden Terrifying Insurrection, Hastings is best known for The Runaway General, a 2010 article that led to the resignation of General Stanley McChrystal, who had been leading the war in Afghanistan since June 2009. In his honor, we've pulled out a few excerpts that struck us as particularly profound, many of which are just as relevant 3 years later. COIN, this is in quotes, COIN, as the counterinsurgency theory is known, is the new gospel of the Pentagon brass, a doctrine that attempts to square the military's preference for high-tech violence with demands of fighting protracted wars in failed states.
All right, I'm going to rack up a couple more.
Yes.
These are quick fire.
Yes, but not
This is
conspiracy. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a conspiracy in the sense that he got fired, killed them.
Sorry.
I think it was more of people who really respected the general and the fact that he had
But
to
he got
resign.
killed. He got killed.
Got mad.
Tom?
He got killed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, quick fire ones now. Illuminati.
What do you mean exactly?
Is there an Illuminati as there is
New
now?
World
Higher-
Order controlling.
Yeah, all
No.
of that, all in
No.
one big thing.
Nah.
Nah?
It's fun. It's fun to read about.
It's higher than that.
So-
The New World Order
Jeez.
is spirits. That's what I would say. Yes. to.
You just won up.
Lizard people!
He just won
I've
up.
got the documents!
He just won up a conspiracy theory.
If there's
no, fuck the New Order. They're actually ghosts that are with
Yeah.
controlling the
yeah,
narrative.
I would say yeah. Oh.
Illuminati's a bit weird.
If the
I'm
if
not
the
sure.
Illuminati
I'm
exists,
pretty
it's
much
not,
banging.
They're not humans.
I'm pretty much bang in the middle. I think it could be, but it's not under this Illuminati umbrella with a triangle with an eye in the middle of this jazz. It's just people deciding things to do. Alternative.
Those secret societies are pretty legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
100%.
Yeah, I'm more than 50% on that one.
I would love to join one.
I'll send you a Facebook invite.
Seriously?
I've got a group.
If this gets traction, you'll get invitations.
You're gonna
You've
be on.
never
You're gonna be
been-
in a secret
You've
society.
never
Hope
been
springs
invited to
eternal.
one?
But here's the kicker: they're actually boring as fuck once you're in.
Oh, no. I want an
100%.
eyes wide shut type deal.
Nah, there's none of them. They
wanna wear a
they all look
mask
cool when
and-
you don't. They're all secretive about it. Like Tom Cruise is just.
Of the
they're
33rd
all-
Order.
Again, all comes back to Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise is there thinking that it looks cool from the outside, but once you're in on Scientology,
You're in.
boring.
Yeah.
Next.
You live in a
boring as
fucking
fuck.
library.
All right, let's go.
This is fun.
Alternative therapy suppression with medicine.
Oh, like using crystals to heal?
Do they suppress people trying to use alternative methods like crystals to heal people?
Well, no, it's it's trending.
Just who?
It's trending. It's like being a thing. It's
Okay.
cool. Isn't it? Like I've
So
never...
no.
Nah.
Nah.
I don't think anyone cares about them.
Do-
that much.
Oh, I get how people in the crystal thing are being like, oh, they're trying to shut
Oh
us
no,
down.
but
Yeah.
you want CBD and like cannabinoid.
Oh yeah,
treatments?
now it's a new thing. Okay, so
Yeah.
That's legit.
I've definitely been suppressed.
Oh,
You
Really?
know, what's it
oh
called?
wow, that's different to what I thought. Oh,
I'm
I don't think it's
surprised.
suppressed.
What
Oh
do you
yeah,
mean?
kind of. It depends in what way, but I think so. By media, whatever else. I think.
No, I mean like William Randolph Hearst and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that too.
what's this?
Yeah.
And now there's giant pharmaceutical companies. Of course, they don't. They
All
want
right,
to be able
racking a
to
couple more off.
productize
Racking a couple more off.
cannabinoids. Yeah.
Do you think that people use disease as a weapon in war?
Yes.
Of course they do.
Disease,
Yes.
spread, famine.
That's a
Modern.
thing.
Oh,
warfare.
That's a thing, though. Yeah.
well,
Bio warfare.
yeah, but yeah.
Bio warfare.
I don't know if it depends who, because in 1995 I think it was, there was a terrorist group in Japan who released,
Sarin gas.
was it sarin gas?
Was it sarin?
Something like that. But I don't know if that's quite what you're talking about, Ollie. You're talking about like smallpox, right?
Yeah, not direct like gases or anything like that.
You know
I
the worst
ha-
thing
Go on.
when I'd have to get the book again, but there's a book called Homo Deus.
Nice.
by-
Yuval Noah Harari,
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm reading the
Noah.
introduction to that, and he's talking about all these places
He's
where
a gay
the,
black Jewish man, I think.
he's
which
not
is
black.
so funny. Okay, he's a
I've
gay
seen an
Jewish
interview with
man.
him. He's decidedly pasty.
Okay,
But, he's
I heard Harari and I'm like, he's black.
but yeah, he quotes a bunch of stuff in the introduction in that book where he's talking about where the Spanish landed in South America, and they didn't, not by war, although they did fight battles, but not through war, but just by coming in contact with the natives. They ended up getting smallpox and all these diseases from Europe, and the population was cut by like 90% in
That's crazy.
5-10 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
here's one
because they didn't have any immunity to it.
That's crazy.
Here's one East is gonna like.
I was gonna ask you one quick. Both
Go
of
on.
you. Just say yes or no. Do you guys think you're handsome?
That's not a fucking conspiracy theory.
Go on.
I would say it's been a conspiracy to hide my beauty for this long.
So it's a yes. You?
No.
Oh.
What do you? I think
Okay.
I'm
Next.
flawed. Got buck teeth.
next.
Got a buck brain.
That too. Do you think Issa's gonna
Buck
love
mind.
this one? Technology suppression. Apple slow down your phone, so you have to go
Yes.
buy the new fucking
Yes,
iPhone.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's confirmed.
Confirmed.
It was confirmed. Yeah.
Really?
They had to apologize.
Oh, they did.
Yeah. Throttling.
Okay.
Yeah. Next.
Earthquake control projects.
No. No.
Like DARPA?
It's just so much. Fuck nukes then if you can control
Or like
earthquakes.
HARP?
Like HARP.
Yeah.
Like HARP.
Yeah, that's a real thing, isn't it?
What's
Yeah.
HARP?
It's like basically a military program to try and control the weather.
Oh, but we do that, right? We're rain seeding it in the.
Oh yeah, but that's
cloud
for
seeding.
that's to help people. Ollie's talking about like for military purposes. The Americans have a program called HARP, which is like
Interesting.
weather manipulation as a
Alright.
weapon.
So where are you on it, Tom?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But not earthquakes.
Here's one. Here's one relevant for now. Obviously. Trump colluding with Russia. Yes or no? Did Russia
Influence the
influence the electoral vote?
Yes.
Oh.
vote. Yeah, I don't think they expected to win. But yeah, fuck yeah.
And they'll try. It's going to be a thing now for every election forever.
Yeah, exactly. If it's like doping in the
Exactly.
tour. Yeah, it's about not getting caught.
hmm
Next. Or are we done?
Hold on. I'll give you one more last one.
Make it a juicy one.
To be honest,
I can't-
so obviously now it's obvious that I'm going through looking at different conspiracy theories. If I was to read some of these out to you, you'd be like, it's just,
Stupid.
yeah.
Marilyn Monroe,
Anti-Armenianism.
What about her?
anti-Armenianism.
There's a thing about the
Jesus,
Turkish
Fucking dark. Yeah.
Armenian thing. There's a lot of people saying it didn't happen, and
hmm
Really?
there's Holocaust revisionism as well. Like, you've heard of that, where people are like trying to adjust the numbers and calculate, and I'm like, yeah. Anyways, we're not gonna talk.
No, go on.
No,
Oh. No.
no.
I think we're out of the good one. We're definitely not. We're definitely not out of good ones, but there's
I got
too
one for
many.
you. Operation Paperclip.
What? This sounds familiar.
I don't. Yeah. explain
Operation
it.
Falafel.
It's basically a program by the US, the recruitment branch of the US Defense Department after the Second World War to relieve, during the Nuremberg trials when the Nazis were captured,
Mm-hmm.
to instead of trying them, take the best scientists they had, because the Nazis were pretty advanced. They were pretty close to getting the nuke. And then recruiting them for the Americans. So, for example, Werner von Braun was the head of the space mission that ended up getting the Americans landing on the moon, according to the...
So basically, there's still
Story.
Nazis. It's like a Hydra thing.
Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily. But the ones straight after the Second World War, they recruited a bunch of legit... I mean, Werner von Braun, for example, used to hang the 5 slowest Jews outside of his factory every day.
Jeez.
Yep.
But I think this is fact that they hired some. But I didn't know they were active Nazis. I didn't know that.
All right, we really got
that's
to wrap
heavy.
up.
That made my stomach turn.
We really got to wrap up. I'm gonna fire off 3 more. I'm just riffing these ones. These are just banging them out.
Yalla.
Chemtrails.
Chemtrails?
Yeah.
What's
The airplanes are intentionally releasing a smoke into the atmosphere to control the population.
No.
Both you know?
No.
At all?
No.
It's not that much of a stretch, this one,
It's
to be
easy
fair,
to
because-
whistle blow.
It's a bit of a stretch.
It's easy to
No,
whistle
but
blow.
like we already spray things out of planes. Not that
Yeah.
much.
Bit
Do you
better.
think? Do you think there's animals, like weird anomaly animals that are hidden from us, or
Cryptids?
ones cryptids? Yeah.
I don't even understand the question.
Do you think there's ones that are hidden from us, or we haven't found? Loch Ness monster, Godzilla,
Ooh, I like these ones.
You like
Bigfoot.
Some people are really into cryptids. That's what they're called.
Yeah. Loch Ness Monster gives me a bit of a semi.
No.
On board or not? Is there ones that we don't know about?
Oh, yeah.
Was there
Bigfoot.
big shark?
Like water whales.
Bigfoot.
Megalodon.
The Meg.
The Meg.
No. For me, no. Hard no.
No, but it's pretty frequent. You look at deep sea fish.
And
Yeah,
pictures.
no, that's
What
weird
the
enough. but
fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is. Okay, last
no,
one.
not hidden from us. Per
Last
se, though.
one.
They just
Well,
haven't
if you
discovered-
they find like an animal that was killed 2 million years ago that was a distant relative of a platypus, they get excited about it. So I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I
sure
know.
we'd know. If,
Yeah.
That's true. All right.
Super excited.
Last one. Do you think there's something weird or something to the theory of the Bermuda Triangle?
Yes, too many coincidences. Too many weird things going on there for it to be a coincidence. There's something
Weird one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a shitload of weird stuff that happens there. Boats, planes, they just eat it all up.
Yeah. I mean, there might be like a little Mariana Trench or something, which is causing a weird pressure effect or something.
That's what I was thinking just
Yeah.
now. That's why I was gonna say no, but I want to read more on it. I don't know. I can't believe there's one where I'm like, I don't know.
That's 50-50.
That I'm 50-50.
Bang on,
Bang on
50-50.
50-50. Don't know.
It's a good one to end on then.
Yeah.
Tom, where are you on it?
Yeah, don't know.
50-50. Yeah, got it.
Thank you very much, Tom. This has
Thanks,
been
Thomas.
Thank you.
the very definition of why I wanted to do this podcast.
What, getting shitted on for an hour and 40 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good discussion. It makes me just want to think and read more.
No, it's pretty addictive.
Talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking's good.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.